All right, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone had a great start to your, or everyone had a great weekend. Enjoyed it. Didn't come to work. Stayed home with the family. Reset yourself. Now we're here. Well, I'm going to get started real quick with, we're going to discuss love and logic. And, some of these, what are some tools? This is just another tool or tools that you can use, right? Especially when interacting with your students. You might be, sometimes when we're interacting, we might be upset in the moment. And I don't know how many of you have ever said something and then later on you say, ooh, why did I just say that? So this is, well, no, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I've met most of you guys by now. I'm Katie Pratt. I'm the new counselor social worker here. So I'm just kind of tag teaming with Noel on this love and logic today.
I also record all the PDs as well, so I'll upload those, send the link to you, so that way if you ever want to refer back to it as a refresher, you can definitely do that as well. So let's start off with this. We're not gonna go into too much detail yet, but I will definitely. I'm a huge believer in clarity equals competency. If expectations are not clear, then as a staff, as a team, we won't be competent. And when you're not competent, then frustration happens, and the culture of the school can change as well. So one thing that we are going to change is we're going to go to a digital system with behavior referrals. So if you do happen to have a behavior issue, now this is the question: what is a behavior issue? When can I write a behavior referral? I'm not going to answer that right now, but I will later on to make sure that we're all on the same page with that, okay? But the plan is the following: that when you do have a serious behavior infraction, that you send it to this referral@cscharter.org, okay? On the subject line, you put the initials of the student. Don't put the full name, just the initials and then the grade level. That way it makes it a little easier. In the email, obviously, then in the actual email, go ahead and put the details of exactly what took place. Send it. The idea behind this is that as soon as you send that email, by the time that student walks to the front office down here, the whole admin team will already know why that student is at the office, okay? Sometimes the student will give his perspective on what happened, but if we get that email, it makes it quick, it makes it easier than having to stop your lesson and having to write the paper form. It's just a little bit easier, streamlined. Not only that, but once we will also reply back, okay, to both you and your educational assistant, letting you know what the discipline measure or whatever the consequence was. So that way you know exactly what happened, okay? And lastly, if the student was perpetually or just habitually being disruptive to that learning environment in that period, okay, the goal is we're not going to send him back up, okay? However, case to case, there's sometimes where we've worked with the teacher already, we have what you call that mojo, and the teacher might recommend and say, you know what, he can or she can come back to class. Okay, so there'll be instances where that does happen, but the main reason why is because if the student was behaving, let's say he had a really rough period, or he's dealing with something, maybe it's not best for that student to come back because that student hasn't fully recovered yet. Maybe the best thing would be to spend just a few minutes talking, debriefing with Katie or I, or Kayla or Dan, one of us, just to kind of see what's going on, help that student before we return. Okay. So. Later on, we'll dive a little bit more into that. If later on you have some more specific questions about this, please ask me, okay, or shoot me an email. But like I said, we'll definitely provide more clarity with this. We also have a behavior matrix, okay, with consequences for certain specific behaviors. So I'll disseminate that as well, so you all have it prior to school happening. So my goal is to have that ready for you by today, okay? All right, let's go ahead and dive into our love and logic.
All right, so we're going to cut.
three main points here of why Love and Logic is so beneficial. First, we have strategies to help our students. Okay. Second, with Love and Logic, you're able to still set very firm expectations and limits with your students as well. And most importantly, it's without you having to get angry about it, without you having to just talk and talk and talk to the student or lecture the student. And then finally, when a student does cause a problem, you always are able to empower the student and hand the problem back to the student so they can try to figure it out. And we're gonna actually role play a scenario, a very common scenario around horseplay, my favorite. And oh gosh, sorry, I just laughed because it brought back memories. So, anyways, we're gonna role play that and model what it looks like, and then just take notes of it, and we'll take it from there. If you haven't had a chance to, I recommend this book, Start with the Why by Simon Size. It's a really good book. So if you want a reference to that. But it also, most importantly, Love and Logic aligns with our vision and mission. I always refer back to this because I strongly believe in it. We want to make sure that we're enthusiastic. Not only that, but I highlighted 3 main points here, okay? With Love and Logic, we help our students with self-advocacy skills. We hand the problem back to them. How are you going to fix this? If you can't fix it, I'll be more than happy to help you. I can't promise you might want that, but if it needs to happen, I'll definitely handle it for you. But I'm going to give you a chance to go ahead and figure this out. And then it also exemplifies character, because that person now has to take responsibility for their actions, and they have to really think about how this is going to get handled, or how they're going to either fix the relationship or fix the situation that they just caused. And then you're also setting high expectations, because we're not the ones that are trying to always fix things for them, okay? And in the middle school, we specifically spoke about respect. We're gonna hold high expectations overall. We're gonna make sure that our students are respecting the campus, that are respecting the teachers, that are respecting everyone here, that are respecting the parents, physical property, and so forth.
So a lot of you probably know this, a bit of the history already, but this Love and Logic came about in reaction to some other kinds of interventions that had a few shortfalls, so it's trying to kind of fill in the gaps with those left. One of which would be kind of a drill sergeant approach. We all know where, if this is a student and I'm just kind of telling them what to do in an authoritarian kind of manner, what do we expect them to react like if that's how we're coming? Any ideas? Yeah? Yep. So you can get that, you can get the escalation aggression piece, and then yeah. So you can get almost the opposite like that. Oh, I'm gonna get you. They're they're plotting when they're not doing it in the moment, but it's kind of seething, right? The other is kind of these natural consequences, which I think can be used really well in some cases. What Love and Logic adds into that is this empathy piece. So there's a consequence learned, and then the adult is modeling empathy in the situation, with the goal being that the child's going to learn from that and maybe make a different choice on their own moving forward. And then finally, all the systems just that are based only on giving a reward or a sticker or a prize or that sort of a thing. What do you guys see as the negative to those kinds of systems? Okay. Yep.
The thing that bothers me about that is they should be making their choices because they're the right choices, and maybe not because they're getting rewarded for it.
Yes.
It's no way to bring in some
That's true.
So intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic.
Yeah. I think this one's easy to fall into. Like I do it with my kids, and I'm I should know better. Like this weekend we went to the store, and I'm like, okay, I'm in the car in the parking lot. Like my expectation of you guys in the store is X, Y, and Z. And my older son's like, well, what do we get if we do that? I'm like, nothing. So I'm kind of reviewing Love and Logic myself for those things. touches on what some of you guys already brought up. This is one of my favorite models of therapy, which is called dialectical behavioral therapy, but it's what it is based on. So the idea is that we all have emotional mind, we all have a reasonable mind, and we all, hopefully, some days on a good day, get some wise mind going on. And what we're trying to do is, as adults, using love and logic, for ourselves and for the students that we're serving, to keep them out of going to the nether regions of the emotional mind where they just cannot regulate themselves. So the goal of this is to give them some skills so they can stay a little more centered when things come up for them that are a little bit difficult, like when a wave of life hits them, so to say. What skills are they going to fall back on? What are we going to fall back on to model that you can still stay pretty steady in the midst of the storm?
And in Love and Logic, there's several skills. We don't have time to go over every single skill set. So Katie and I, we thought, what are at least 3 or 4 that we can discuss with the team that are going to be beneficial to you all? So it's the red one. So we're going to talk about neutralizing, arguing. So not getting into a power and control struggle with the student. Delaying the consequences. We're going to actually role play and model what that looks like. Setting limits with enforceable statements. You don't want to say something that you don't mean later on. Okay? And finally, use choices to be able to prevent power struggles. Okay? Let them decide, although you technically have the power over the decision, but you made it seem as they did. So that's a good strategy to be able to utilize. And there's 2 rules basically, or essentially with Love and Logic. Okay, the adult always sets clear limits to the students without having to use their emotions, without any anger, any type of lecture to the student, or repeated warnings. And then number 2, when children cause problems, the adult always is able to hand it back to the student so they can try to figure it out themselves before the adult actually intervenes. So just giving them that opportunity.
So we thought it would be helpful reminder for all of us, and this actually gets disputed more and more. I think the percentages are a bit off, maybe even erring on the side of less than 7%, I've heard recently, that what we actually say verbally, so that's the pink part, is 7% of communication that people get from us. What much more they're hearing is our expressions and actions that are not verbal, and then the paraverbal, so like that tone and cadence and what we're saying, matters much more than the actual content, which is a little bit jarring when teaching, correct? So to be mindful that not only are you giving the content, but that the way that you're approaching students and your body language and your posture and your tone really can greatly influence the outcome of the behavior that you might see in reaction to. Which you guys know, I don't think that's news to you, but it's kind of a reminder as we kick off the school year to keep that in mind. We have a little clip for a little levity that just gives an example, like a visual example of this.
I'm pregnant. And you're the father, by the way, but you got it.
No one could get him to forgive us. I don't know. I'm telling you. I can do it. Yeah, you can do it. It's like you're always stuck in second gear.
He was like this crazy-eyed, hairy beast man. He was like a Bigfoot or a Yeti or something. Hi, just so you know, we didn't mean to fog you. We actually thought you were like a Yeti or something. Hi.
So you like the short hair better?
What? Yeti? Danny?
Steve? Hello? two are happy, then I'm happy for you. I'm fine.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm fine. Totally fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you too.
Joe? Well, I guess Joey went home. Oh, and look, there is still one box that I have to unpack. Oh my God, you almost gave me a heart attack.
Still in bed at 10 and work again at 8. My best friend and my sister, I cannot believe this.
Sorry, but it's true. I love him too.
My best friend and my sister. I cannot believe this. Burned your breakfast so far, things are going great. Your mother warned you there'd be days like these. Let's put aside the fact that you accidentally picked up my grandmother's ring and you accidentally proposed to Rachel.
People do this. I don't really know what that means.
I'm sorry.
I once got an email, and it was the entire email was in caps lock. That was interesting. So in front of you, I think it's on the third page. Turn your words into gold. Okay. What I want you to do real quick is we're gonna pick one of these, okay? And let's start with. It's almost towards the end. You showed some respect, Kyle, or Stephanie. So with a partner, what I want you to do is instead of saying, show me some respect, or when are you going to show me respect, or when are you going to show the class respect, what we want to say is, I'll be glad to discuss this when respect is shown. Very assertive. So take a moment and practice that with your peer. If you want to change it up a little bit to give it more of your style, go ahead and do so, okay? Take a minute. bring it back in 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0. So some interesting conversations. Anyone want to start? Give us a shout out. Even if it was a different topic that was related to turn your words into gold.
Main thing for me is I'm interested in inside the classroom with other students, everything. Can you talk outside?
Ooh, I like that.
Because
Private.
never do I want them to the other students to see what I say to them. So I was thinking, let's just give me one more meeting and I go outside and speak to the students.
Exactly. And I've heard several conversations throughout these days and trainings of that is a lot of the culture here, that a lot of teachers, EAs as well. I mean, everyone agrees to that. You know, I think it was Annette, right? Annette. Okay. So she was mentioning the other day how you know, the students, they read your body language. They can tell when you're frustrated, when you're angry. They study you. That's what she said. That's why they give you those eyes and they look at you, because they're studying you. And it's true. Not only that, but like you said, you know, private redirection. How many of us like to be put on blast in front of others? No, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. We steer away from that, and we're going to avoid people who do that to us at all costs. So the same thing, we want to always treat our students with dignity and respect, right? So, like I said, we don't have time to dive in each different scenario, but please use this as a guide and phrase the words the way that you prefer to do so. So feel free to do that.
And I think the role play is helpful for those ones because it's not always the way that we would naturally speak to someone, right? So you kind of have to get used to it and make it your own, or you're not going to use it. So however you can do that, I think is pretty valuable, because otherwise we don't tend to keep doing things if they feel off over time. So giving choices within limits. So this one is the big key under this, which is give the majority, like 99% of your choices when things are going all right, things are good. Why might that be? Any ideas? Yep, so they get used to it. But that's the kind of the bar, correct? Mm-hmm. So they get some power a lot of the time. You can refer back to that for sure. Also, when I've taught like CPI classes, one of the big things is like when you have lost someone, when they become irrational, can you give choices? Can you speak rationally to someone who is mentally irrational? No, they're already gone. So if you're giving a choice when they're in a rational head state and decently level-headed, you're more likely to get them to go ahead and make a choice and move forward with that versus it becoming some cycle of something different. So before you're seeing resistance, and I liked your example of taking them out of the room, because I don't know how much that's the culture here. I've definitely worked in places where if one student starts getting in a conversation with a teacher, then another might kind of jump in on that, and it can become a little toxic. So I think if you can, separate and diffuse the resistance, that can be good. Give two options, both of which you are okay with. It might not be your top two choices, but ones that if they pick one of them, fine, they can pick that one. And if they don't make a timely choice, you do have to go ahead and make the choice for the student. And I think you guys have probably seen that when you do that enough, they know there's a little time window that they got some choice going on, and then you're going to have to be more assertive about it. How long do you guys tend to give for that? I mean, classrooms are so busy.
I think it depends on the grade level too.
Situation specific, I'm hearing. Okay. So a window depending on the person. Okay. These are obvious, but do never ever give a choice unless you are willing to let the child experience the consequence of that choice, and never give a choice if that young person is in a dangerous situation. Because obviously your other responsibilities would go over that, and you have to, maintain their safety first before you can go into this classroom. All right, I would love if you guys could talk amongst yourself briefly again, and just, so these are the templates that Love and Logic gives for examples of how to give a choice to the blank. So you're welcome to blank or blank, feel free to blank or blank, would you rather with 2 choices, or what would be best for you, this or that. Can you guys just talk with each other for like 1 minute and maybe come up with one example of how you might use this in your classroom, you know, during the flow of your week?